Yo, 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 yer. Hey, welcome to the Straight Sports Podcast. We're your hosts, Tushar and
Joshua.
In this podcast, we will give our opinions on our favorite sports, which are basketball, soccer, and wrestling.
Let's get into the topics. So number one, which player in the league, NBA that is, currently faces the most hate and scrutiny?
So, when I'm thinking about this topic, I feel like there's so many players I feel like face hate. And I got 3 players in mind. I will go 2 of them briefly and 1 into depth. So the first player I believe that faces the most scrutiny is Russell Westbrook. And the reason I believe that is because he was in OKC. He was one of the most loyal basketball players in the world. The franchise decided to change the direction.
Yeah.
He got traded to Houston. He teamed up with James Harden. They were going to, I think, run it back. Then Harden decided to axe out. That makes Russ want to axe out too because Russ wants to compete for championships. Russ gets traded to Washington. He plays for a year, and then he comes to LA. But the criticism that comes with Russ is that you can't win with him. I heard an analyst named Skip Bayless. He comes on Russell, but he said that you can't win with Russell Westbrook as your point guard. That's why Kevin Durant left. I think that's completely false to say that you can't win with him. He's a different kind of player, The way he plays is a lot different than I think a typical point guard. But, personally, Russell Westbrook, he makes players around him better.
Yeah.
When he played with Kevin Durant had one of his best scoring seasons. He played with Paul George. He was 3rd in the MVP race. Paul George had one of his best seasons of his career. Went to Washington. Bradley Beal had the best scoring points per game in his career. So I feel like the scrutiny against him is kind of like, is not fair. I think he makes players better. I understand he's been bouncing around the league, but that's because the direction has changed for a lot of these franchises. The Rockets, James Harden axed out, so Russ is going to axe out too. Bradley Beal, I'm not too sure exactly what happened in Washington, but, maybe the opportunity to come to LA and come home is something more special for him.
Yeah.
And he had a great season in Washington. It didn't look like they was going to make the playoffs. He came back. Once he was healthy, he turned it around. He was part of that turnaround. So I think the hatred against him is unnecessary. He gets triple doubles and is not appreciated as much. Number 2, I think, is LeBron James. I mean, there's always a double standard against him. I'm watching, again, Fox analyst Skip Bayless. I know he makes a lot of money and he feels like he knows what he's talking about. Sometimes when I listen to him, I just like, what are you saying? Or why you have such a double standard? And I think it's because when LeBron does something, they're ready to bounce on him. But if it's any other player, they excuse it. I'll give you an example. Apparently, Ray Allen saved LeBron's legacy. Kyrie Irving saved LeBron's legacy. But we don't talk about that when Steve Kerr hit the shot. True. When Kobe Bryant's team, I think it was Metal World Peace, he hit the shot. And I'm not here to criticize Kobe or MJ. They're, goats in their eras. They're one of the best to ever do it, both of these players. But I just don't like when we have a double standard against LeBron. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we holding this one narrative against him? He was 4-6 in the finals. Oh, he can never be the GOAT because he was 4-6. Nobody talks about how to get there. He's been to 8 straight finals. That's very difficult. Oh, the East is weak. He goes to the West. He does it again. So, the narrative keeps on coming. He was out the first round. He can't be the GOAT, right? Because he got out the first round. Are people thinking that Michael Jordan's career is 6 years? He's never lost. He's never got out early. We're not going to talk about yet the GOAT debate between who we think the GOAT is. But when we talk about a GOAT debate, we have to count all seasons, playoff, season, everything. You know what I'm saying? So, I just think it's unfair to criticize LeBron. He has too much double standard. Apparently, he's not clutch, but I think he has the most buzzer beaters in the playoffs, if I'm correct. I don't understand this narrative. I just don't like double standard. I think we criticize LeBron too much. If you're going to say LeBron James was in the finals, he lost to Golden State. He got swept when his team compared to KD's team in 2018. But when Kevin Durant was kind of by himself, right, as a star, he lost to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
It's kind of an excuse. I'm not saying Kevin Durant to me wasn't expected to win, but it's like, oh, we going to let it slide. But if it's LeBron, it's not excuse. It just doesn't make sense. I don't like the double standard against him.
Yeah.
And then this is the player that I really believe has been hated, especially since he joined the Clippers after their 3-1 devastating choke lead that they choked against the Denver Nuggets. It's Paul George. September 15, 2020. That was the day that the Clippers choked that 3-1 lead. It's a very sad day for me because I got a lot of my friends who came at me, and as they should. I mean, I claimed that the Clippers were going to win the championship, and they didn't, and they got bounced in the second round. But Paul George got criticized. He had a Game 7. He had 11 points, 4 for 16, 2 for 11, 5 turnovers. He played bad. But Kawhi also played bad. I'm a big Kawhi fan. but he was terrible, right? In game 7.
Yeah.
He wasn't himself. We hold him to a standard. He's obviously a phenomenal player. I'm not trying to say anything bad about him, but he's a phenomenal player. But he played bad as well. So then he comes the next year. He showed to the world that he's legit. He averaged 26.9 points, 9.6 rebounds, 5.4 assists in 19 games in the 2021 playoffs. Then I noticed while watching the playoffs, he has one bad game. It's Pandemic P again. He plays good. I don't hear anybody say anything.
Yeah.
I believe in game 1 against the Utah Jazz, he was 4 for 17. He had 20 points. It's not a good game. Game 2, 8 for 18, 27. Then game 3, 37. Game 4, he scored 31. Game 5, Kawhi's out. Series tied 2-2. Everybody says it's over. Drops 37. They win that game. Game 6 drops 28 in a closeout game. Gets that monkey off the Clippers' back. I think I heard Paul George say that. Because they never got to the conference finals, he did it. Now we go to the Phoenix series. He misses 2 free throws against the Suns in game 2. Pandemic P's back. Like, I understand the situation. He missed the free throws. Yes, he did. But I'm pretty sure there's other big-time players who miss free throws. Right? So, like...
Yeah.
And then let's look at that. Then after that, he has a game 5. He dropped 41 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists. Look at the stat line. When he went back to his Indiana mode because Kawhi wasn't there. He had to step up. He had to be the number one. I do agree. I don't believe Paul George is the kind of guy you put him on a team and you could win a championship if he's your best player. He can be your second best player. And there's no knock on him. It's just some players are like that, right? And then I hear one person named Emmanuel Acho. I think he's part of the Fox show Speak for Yourself. He said this on July 1, 2021. Paul George is a star, but I told y'all he's a some star, not an all-star. I heard that, and I'm like, I'm thinking, he's a some star? What? I do not agree with this. How can you be a some star? He shows up sometimes. He's had a phenomenal career. Yes, you can say he's inconsistent, but he's an all-star. There's a difference between superstar and all-star. Paul George, his potential is superstar. At times, he plays as an all-star. But he's an all-star. He's definitely not no some star. But I agree. I mean, I'm not going to say I agree with his take. I respect his take, but I believe it's wrong. So those are the 3 players I have.
Okay, well, I guess sticking with the LA theme, just to piggyback off what you said about LeBron, I think the reason why he does get a lot of that hate and criticism is because he's being held in this GOAT debate. If you're one of arguably one of the top 3 players of all time, they're going to hold you to higher standards than they do with regular players. So I do see all the hate he gets, and I do think it's not fair.
Yeah.
But I feel like it comes with, it's a blessing and a curse, being that good of a player. And sticking with Lakers, the player that I chose as one of the most scrutinized and hated players was AD. I feel like the fans turned on him, especially last postseason versus the Suns. He was out. He didn't really play well. Fans blamed him in a way for the Lakers' loss to the Suns. And I guess I feel like he was partially responsible, but the franchise knew that he was injury prone. They knew that, he wasn't necessarily fit all the time. And that's what they signed up for. So I feel like you can't really blame him. It's not his fault he got injured. And you even had analysts, I think it was Kendrick Perkins, calling him street clothes. That to me was crazy. Yeah, he's not healthy all the time, but when he is healthy, he's arguably a top 5, top 10 player in the league.
Yeah, top 5
he's
talent.
An elite talent.
No question about
easily.
it.
So I feel like it's not fair for them to, harp on him that way. But, I guess it comes with the territory of being injury prone, When you're playing well, everyone's a fan. When you're playing bad and you're hurt, everyone turns on you. So I guess that's why
true.
Players are moving with less loyalty toward franchises because they realize that you're only a fan and they're only supportive when you're doing something that's good, The second that you mess up, it's over. The relationship is severed.
AD is definitely injury prone for sure,
Yeah,
but
I
think he's arguably the best power forward in the league. He is injury prone. Kawhi is the same thing, but at the end of the day, I've heard that he's rehabbing, he's training, and all that. He's going to come back with a vengeance this season. I think the Lakers team, a lot of these players have a chip on their shoulder. Russ got a chip on his shoulder. LeBron got a chip on his shoulder. They say the best player in the world. He's not it. AD got a chip on his shoulder. And that's why this Lakers team is going to be dangerous. And I think people saying it's not going to work out. I mean, It's going to work. I mean, you want to win a championship, you'll figure it out. LeBron's one of the best to do it, how to make it work with teammates. On to topic number 2. Some teams have made big moves in free agencies, and other teams have made smaller moves. Today, we will be starting a 3-part topic in which we grade the things done by teams in free agency, A through F. We will start with the bottom teams and work our way up to the top, picking teams between 15th and 11th seeds. So we're doing the 2020 NBA standings using that. Let's start with the East, the 15th seed, Detroit Pistons.
A C plus. They added Kelly Olynyk. They re-signed Corey Joseph and Saban Lee, and they also got Trey Lyles. I think it's a decent, like they weren't gonna attract any top talent. They do have a nice young team, and I feel like they're headed in the right direction. They just drafted Cade Cunningham, who I think will be a star in this league eventually. I don't know the timetable for that, but I think he'll develop into a solid player, and I feel like they're on the right track.
I gave them a B plus, and I think I gave it because I think when I'm grading these teams, I'm going based on the direction that this franchise is going. So to me, Detroit is going to rebuilding mode, and they're trying to build for the future.
Yeah,
So in that case, getting the number one pick, drafting Cade Cunningham, this draft has been compared to like those other drafts, like that 2003 draft with LeBron, Melo, Bosh, Wade. I believe they're all four in that draft.
yeah,
Um, they're making comparisons to that, and for them to get this kind of generational talent, it means they're going in the right direction. They got Jeremy Grant; he had a great season.
yeah, he did.
Kelly Olynyk, I like that signing. I mean, he could play. Re-signing Corey Joseph, all these players, they got Diallo, they re-signed. So I think based on that, the direction that this franchise is going, they're trying to rebuild and I think get to the playoffs eventually. So I think a B plus makes sense based on what they're trying to accomplish. So I like what they're doing. So I'm gonna go with a B plus. Next team, number 14th, Orlando Magic.
I really don't want to give this team an F, so I'll give them a D minus.
Whoa.
They signed Robin Lopez. Like I'm confused.
Yeah, that
Like
signing, it could give him veterans presence. That's what I
yeah,
see with
but
that.
they have Mo Bamba on that team. I think he could be a good center. He's not being utilized at all. I forgot the bull center they got. What was his name? Wendell Carter Jr. Yeah. He also have he's a nice, developing center. So why sign Robin Lopez? I guess maybe to replace Vucevic in like a leadership role, but I don't get it.
That's
But
true.
I don't think they're even close to the playoffs. But they do have some young talent in
Oh,
Markel
Cole
Fultz.
Anthony.
Yeah, Cole Anthony as well. And I also feel like, they're building kind of an identity. I think it might be like defensive oriented. I don't know what the free agency was trying to do for them. Maybe get depth. But I feel like youth wise they're in the right direction.
I'm gonna disagree respectfully. I gave them a B. I think maybe you might seem this might be a little too high of a grade, but I gave it. I think based on the direction they're going. When they traded Vucevic, they traded Gordon, they traded Fournier. It was clear they wanted to rebuild, meaning they basically doing what Houston doing. They started from the bottom, right? So due to that, I'm giving them a B. They drafted Jalen Suggs. I hope I said his name right. Robin Lopez looks like he can come with a veteran leadership. Now I don't know. I mean, Robin Lopez decided to come here. I would assume he would want to go to play for a contender. But at the end of the day, he's gonna bring that veteran leadership. He's played in the playoffs, so I think that's a good pickup. They have a lot of young talent. I think that's their main goal is to keep having young talent. So I like this move that Orlando's transitioning from the Vucevic, Gordon, and Fournier era to rebuilding, starting fresh. If they're starting fresh, I'll give them a B. I think they're on the right direction because for this franchise, it makes more sense to rebuild. But I agree with you. I don't believe they're gonna make the playoffs for maybe 2 to 3 years. It could be more too. Number 13, the Cleveland Cavaliers. So for Cleveland, I'm giving them a C minus. I just don't understand what they're doing. They have, like Jared Allen made a joke. They got an 82-0 squad, the starting five centers. They re-signed Jared Allen, which I like. They got Lauri Markkanen, I like, but they also got Evan Mobley from the draft.
Yeah.
They got Taco Falls. They got a lot of centers. Like, I don't understand what are they trying to do. I know Kevin Love is not part of their future. I heard they were trying to buy him out, but wasn't interested. But it doesn't make sense. Like, what are they trying to do? They have too many big mans. I think they got to trade some of them. I think they should build around Mobley. Markkinen, I mean, you're going to put Mobley at the 3, Markkinen at the 4, and Jared Allen at the 5. Like, I
Yeah.
don't really understand what they're trying to do. So I gave a C minus because the Lauri Markkanen pickup is good. Like, he could be a special player. Evan Mobley from
Yeah.
the draft, he could be a special player. Jared Allen, I mean, the Nets, I know had to trade him, but man, he could be a top center in this league.
Yeah.
But
I'd say
yeah,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to me, I personally, I just don't understand the direction they're going. That's why I gave a C minus. I'm just confused. What are they trying to do? Like, are we trying to have a starting 5 that are all centers? I know they're not gonna do
Yeah.
that, but it just that I saw a joke with Jared Allen that he made. He kind of said
Yeah.
82-0, so everybody was kind of memeing and laughing at it. But yeah, it's just confusing. You just don't understand the direction they're going.
Yeah. I agree. I'd probably say it's C, like around there as well. I don't know why they're getting all these big men. I don't get it. Maybe they're trying to move someone in the future. Who knows?
Yeah,
But I don't get it. I guess stacking talent, maybe. I have no idea. I don't know where they're headed. I don't think they're a playoff team yet. They do have some nice young talent, but I don't feel like it's gonna
yeah.
mesh well together with all those big men. Maybe they're gonna like develop one in a way that they can all be on the court at the same time. But me, I just don't know personally.
Yeah, I don't like the fit. I think they got to trade one of. I think they got to keep Jared Allen and Mobley. So I think they got to trade Markin. I think they'll get some value. But I think they got to at least trade one. Allen got to stay. In my opinion, Mobley's young. I think you keep him Markin. He could look like a trade asset. Kevin Love, I know, is not part of their future plans. And then Taco Fall, he could be a backup center. But it's interesting. But I agree with you. I'm really confused of what they're trying to do, what they're trying to build. Number 12, the Toronto Raptors.
I'd probably say like a standard C. They were horrible last season, which is surprising to me because I thought they had a pretty decent
That's
team.
true. They also lost Kyle Lowry, but now
True.
it seems like their direction will be rebuilding.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how to feel about it. I like them drafting Scotty Barnes. I think will be a very good talent in the league. And besides that, I don't really know. Like I feel like they're back in like that no man's land, and I'm not sure where they're headed.
I agree. The grade that I gave them is a B plus, and I think it's because of the direction they're going. To me, it's rebuilding, and by Lowry leaving, to me, then that makes it seem okay. Now we're going in that direction. I like the young talent they got. Fred VanVleet, man, he could play. He is a big time basketball player. He could play the game of basketball.
Yeah.
From the trade with Miami, they added Goran Dragic. Would I seem like they might trade him, or he might get potentially, maybe he'll get bought out so they can move on, because I don't think Dragic with the Raptors. I don't like Dragic could be good for Toronto, but it doesn't seem like he'll fit in their future plans. Then they got Precious Achua. Hope I said his name right. He's a young player who has a lot of talent. He was really good for Miami, and I think this is a good pickup for Toronto. They got Pascal Siakam. They re-signed Gary Trent Jr. So I like the pickups they got. I think during the direction they're going, they got a lot of young talent. So that's why I would give them a B plus.
Okay.
Number 11, Chicago Bulls.
I'd give them a B. I feel
Really?
like
I'm
I would
I want to hear this.
because I do like the sounds of Lonzo. I guess the DeRozan sign is okay. I don't know how he's gonna fit into the team. Like he's not that great of a defender. I mean, I guess they want to have like three guards. He's like what 6'6". Lonzo's 6'5", I believe in. Levine's what 6'4". So I'm confused on how they're gonna mesh defensively. I know Lonzo's the best defender out of the three, but as for the rest of the two, I'm not sure. But I feel like yeah, they're good. But would you really have them as one of the top four teams in the East? Like, do you think they can knock off? Well, I don't know about Philly how they're gonna be, but do you think they can knock off the Nets, the
No,
Bucks, the Heat?
no.
So I like the move,
I don't
but
think the
what is it
Celtics
really?
either.
Yeah. So what is it really like? Where is it getting them?
Yeah. After you giving them a B, you might be shocked what I'm giving them, but I'm giving them an A plus.
Good night.
And I think it's because Chicago's direction, it's to me it's clear they're trying to make Levine happy. They got Vucevic in the trade deadline. Then in free agency, adding Alonzo, a guy who makes everybody around him better, has a high IQ. Adding DeRozan, an all-star who's been in playoffs. To me, it
Yeah.
seems like they're trying to make the playoffs. And I think adding these players, they're going to make the playoffs. I think maybe they'll be a 5th or a 6th seed, maybe potentially lower. But I think they make the playoffs. I think their highest ceiling is the second round.
Yeah.
But I would assume they get out in the first round. That's just my assumption for right now. That's what I'm assuming. I don't think they can go any past that. But adding Caruso as well, I mean, I like this team. And then they traded Markkanen and they got back, I think, Derrick Jones Jr., I think in a 3-way trade. They got DeRozan a sign and trade, and they basically didn't give up a lot. Like the Spurs,
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of deal they made. Shout out to San
Yeah.
Antonio fans. You're having a good day. But just having, sorry, Josh. I know you're a Spurs fan, throwing out your
Yeah.
jokes. Sorry about that. But I mean, we'll talk about San Antonio later. What grade I'll give them. You would say Chicago won the trade big time.
Yeah, easily.
So I just like the pieces they got, and I feel like their goal is to make the playoffs. I think they're going to make the play. They're going to be an exciting team. They have DeRozan. He averaged 20 plus. Vucevic, he averaged 20 plus. Zach LaVine, he averaged 20 plus. They got 3 20 plus point scorers. In this league, you don't see a lot like that. A lot of teams have at
Yeah.
least 2. They got 3. I think they're like this kind of young. They're not a super team, but I feel like they're like this young version of it. Like just super young. I know they don't have experience. That's going to be the main issue with, I think, Chicago. But they did Alex Caruso experience, DeRozan experience.
Yeah.
Vucevic has very little playoff experience. Lonzo hasn't been there yet, so they got to rely on the veterans. I like this move. I just think A plus based on the direction. The Windy City's gonna be it's gonna be hyped now. They're gonna be excited, and I'm just excited to see Chicago back to
Yeah,
being a fun and exciting team. On to the West, number 15, the Houston Rockets.
I give them an A. I like their draft. They drafted Jalen Green, who I think could be the best scorer in the draft. I hear now that they're trying to move on from John Wall, which I really like.
Yeah, I
I feel
agree.
like he deserves to play for a better team, a
Yeah,
contender somewhere.
I think he's gonna have to get bought out though.
Yeah, probably. And I just like the youth movement that they're doing. They have Kevin Porter Jr. as well. They've signed some great young talent through the draft and through free agency. And I feel like they know where they're at and they're trying to get back to a place where they can not contend necessarily, but just be competitive again. They were the worst team in the league last year. Not the worst team, but they're the worst record in the West. And I don't think they want to be there much longer, you know? So I feel like they're trying to just like have a young core and have it grow together so it can potentially be something special, you know?
Interesting take. I think I agree with your take, but I gave them a B. And I think it's because I like the Jalen Green, he getting drafted after losing James Harden. The direction for them is rebuild. They were, based on the standings, they were number 15th, the worst team in the league. And I know, knowing Houston, I know definitely they don't want to be in that position. But I don't know if they're going to be the worst team next year, but they're going to, for at least the next few years, I don't believe they're going to make the playoffs. I do like the signings, it's just keep getting young, building your young talent, and just look towards the future. That's what Houston should do. I still believe that they blew the Nets trade. I believe they got 8 picks for 4
Yeah.
first round picks, so that's good. But I don't feel like they got any, like, you could say, okay, we got a star in return, because they could have got Allen, LeVert, and Taron Prince. Allen looks like a potential star. Karis LeVert, he looks like a star. Taron Prince is a good young rotational piece. And they went for a trade where they basically made that trade, and they got Victor Oladipo, which they traded to get back Avery Bradley and Kenneth Olynyk. They're great players, but that's not
Yeah.
getting young talent. You don't need to get young talent. I'm not trying to say they're old or anything, these players, but it doesn't fit their future, like their frame. Kelly Olynyk was great for them, by the way, but I think they didn't do a good job with the trade. So I think that if they'd done that, they could have had. I wish if they had Allen and Karis LeVert, and then they drafted, Jalen Green, that would be a pretty good team. But I believe they're just gonna continue to stay on those like bottom 13 to 15 seat, and that's why I gave them a B. But they definitely the future is bright with the prospect that they drafted. Number 14, Oklahoma City Thunder.
I'd say I give them a C plus. They did resign Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who I think will be a star in this league, a really top player on both sides of the ball. He can defend and score. They also drafted Josh Giddey, which I think is he's a solid point guard. I don't know how he'll develop, but that's up to them really. And I feel like they're also building a decent young core. They weren't too good last year as the standings show, but I feel like they're headed in the right direction.
I'm going with the B plus. I think it's because they re-signed Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's Oklahoma City's future, that player. And they've continued to keep on getting picks. I don't know how many picks they got, but my goodness. For Sam Presti to go from, Russ to CP3, and then getting Al Horford from Philly. Then he traded Al Horford back to Boston, got Kemba. Now with picks, I think he got picks back. I'm not too sure on that. I think so. And then they bought out Kemba, but like, wow, like he keeps doing great things, and that's why I give B plus. I think
Yeah,
there's still, I think, ways to go from the playoffs, but they're continuing to rebuild and just build around Shy, and I think they're going. And he's a phenomenal player. He's a star.
yeah.
People could say he's one of the snubs of the All-Star games because he didn't make it, but look at his stat line; it was phenomenal. Number 13, the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Probably a C. Like I don't know what this team is doing. They have the talent, which is why I'm so confused why they're playing so poorly.
Right, they got Edwards, Cat,
They have talent.
D'Lo.
So I don't know why it's not meshing because it's not clicking. I know D'Lo has been hurt for some time, so maybe they haven't been able to mesh together. But I just don't get it. This team shouldn't be. I'm not going to say they should be contending because they shouldn't,
At
but
least
they
make the
should be like
playoffs. Yeah,
fighting
at
for a
least they
playoff
should make the
spot.
playoffs for sure.
I think they're good enough. I just don't understand what they're doing, and I don't know where they're headed. For the last couple of seasons, they've been in the same spot. So I just want to know what's going to make it move.
I agree with your points. I gave them a D. And I think this is one of the more harsher grades I give. It doesn't seem like they added that much. They got Patrick Beverly. They added Taron Prince. They lost Rubio. They lost some pieces. Jarek Culver, Juan Herman Gomez. Hope I'm saying his name right. They have the talent, like you said. They have the talent, and once Jimmy Butler left, I don't think they ever got back to the playoffs. They got Cat. He's a star. D'Lo's a star. Anthony Edwards is a rising superstar.
Yeah.
Patrick Beverley, I think, is a good addition. I like that pickup. I don't feel like they didn't make any major moves. They got some minor moves. Like Patrick Beverley's a good pickup. Taron Prince is a good pickup, but it's nothing like major. But I think you are right. They already have the talent, but they just
Yeah.
have to make the playoffs. I think if they don't make the playoffs this year, it'll definitely be upsetting. They have the talent to do it. They got a lot of talent. Like they really do. Number 12, the Sacramento Kings.
I give them a B. I like the way this team is heading. They have a lot of young talent. De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton. They just drafted Davion Mitchell. I think is going to be a very talented player in the league. I don't know what's like holding them back. Maybe this season, maybe next, they'll be fighting for a playoff spot. And they'll be really like a decent team because I feel like they have talent and they're just playing well. So I just don't understand why they're similar to the Timberwolves. I just don't get it. To me, it doesn't make sense. But I guess it's maybe I don't know if it's development. I don't know what it is, but I feel like they can work over time and they'll get to a decent spot because they have talent on the roster.
I agree. With that, they definitely have a lot of talent, but I gave this team a D. I like the talent they got, but for some reason, you just look at them as like they got the talent. Let's make the playoffs, but they're unfortunately not able to get there. Right? They added Tristan Thompson, Alex Len, Devon Mitchell, which I agree with you. He could be a special player. Re-signed Richard Holmes, Maurice Harkless, Terrence Davis. They're kind of in the same boat with Minnesota. Like, we got the talent, but it's like it just hasn't got there. De'Aaron Fox is one of the top players in this league. He's a special talent. You can also say he's an all-star snub.
Yeah.
But I gave them a D because I just don't feel like they made, any like major moves. If they make another move or two, that can get them into the playoffs. Because personally, just my personal opinion, I don't believe they're gonna make the playoffs because the West is so stacked.
Yeah.
Golden State is coming. Memphis is on the rise, and Phoenix and Utah are here. Denver, they're going to be special. Sacramento has a lot of talent. No disrespect to that franchise, but I just don't believe they'll make the playoffs. So I'm going to just stick with the grade I gave. I think I'll stick with the letter D. Number 11, New Orleans Pelicans.
I give this team an F, like straight up an F, like
Facts.
horrible, because I don't know what they were thinking. They got rid of Steven Adams for Valanciunas. Yeah, he's a solid player, but I don't
They
get
lost
it.
Lonzo
They
too.
signed Thomas. Yeah, they lost Lonzo. Signed Satoransky, Devontae Graham, which I don't think is even a useful picker for them. I feel like he's more of like a six-man scorer. I feel like they need like a playmaker to truly like unlock this offense's potential.
Yeah, Lonzo was
Like
that
I feel like
guy.
they need a pure playmaker like Lonzo. Surprised they let him walk that easily. And I just don't know what they're doing. They have the talent on the roster, but I don't feel like the management. I don't want to blame the coach, but I don't know what it is. It's not working. Like they need to figure it out.
I agree. I think looking at what the direction they're trying to build, right? I'm confused. I don't know what they're doing. I also agree with you. I'm giving them an F. To me, this team wants to make the playoffs. With the signings that they made and the players that they lost, doesn't seem like that. They got Jonas Valanciunas, but is he a huge upgrade over Steven Adams? Would you believe that or no?
No, I don't.
Yeah. And then Devontae Graham, I think he's a great pickup, but you lost Lonzo. Lonzo brought that playmaking. I think Lonzo played the shooting guard from New Orleans, right?
Yeah,
I feel like he should have played the point though, because he is like the young star. He can pass, but it seemed like he was playing a lot of shooting guard.
yeah,
They re-signed Josh Hart, which is good, but if you're trying to make Zion happy and make the playoffs, unfortunately, these are not the right moves. I'm sorry, New Orleans Pelican fans, but this is not the right moves. I heard rumors that Zion's family wants him to leave.
yeah. I heard that too.
I think you agree with me too. We both don't believe this team's making the playoffs next year, even though they're phenomenally talented. No disrespect to the franchise, they're so talented, but the West is too tough. They lost the key piece. I think Lonzo's a big loss. I go with a grade F.
Next topic. CM Punk returns to wrestling after 7 years on AEW Rampage, which is in his hometown of Chicago. What do you think this means for AEW? And what's your reaction?
I want to say, woo! I was ecstatic. One of my friends, Danny, he calls me a fake AEW fan. AEW is super talented, right? But I never really watched it, right? So when I heard this rumor that CM Punk was coming, I knew it was August 20.
Yeah.
I remember watching SmackDown. The same day it came right after 10 o'clock. I turned it on. I'm like, yo, what's the channel? What's the channel? I'm looking for the channel. And I think it was on TNT Channel 3. And I put it, and then you hear the crowd, CM Punk, CM Punk. He comes
Wow.
out. And I'm like, this is beautiful. I was so excited. And I was just so happy to see him back in a wrestling ring. He's a megastar. For 7 years, people have been chanting his name. We finally got CM Punk. Thank you, Tony Khan, for pulling this off. And what does this mean for AEW? I mean, WWE, are you guys watching? I mean, WWE is still above AEW, but That's a big signing. CM Punk, I remember, I think the first day of Rampage, I think they got 600,000 views and it went up to 1 million plus because of CM Punk. For AEW, is a really, really big move. And they're continuing to get better. They have a lot of young talent. They're on the upcoming. And I think AEW is not too close to WWE, but WWE had a 30-year head start. AEW is just a new
Yeah.
company. For only about 2 years they've been around, I believe. They're looking real good.
So continuing talking about CM Punk, he had his first wrestling match in 7.5 years on September 5th of this year. He faced Darby Allin in Chicago, his hometown, and won. What was your reaction to the match, and what do you think improved, if he still has anything left to prove?
So I'm going to say again, yeah, boy, CM Punk. My guy. That's my guy. All love for CM Punk. To me, he proved to the world that he has a lot left in the tank. I think there was a lot of questions,
Yeah.
maybe, oh, he's aging, right? He's not as young as he used to be. He's a more, like you call, veteran in the company. And it was his first match, him and Darby. They had a great match. It was fun to watch. He hit the GTS. He won the match. It was in Chicago. And he proved that he has a lot left. And this partnership between AEW and CM Punk will continue to work. And I'm just excited. CM Punk is one of
Yeah.
the reasons I started watching AEW. But now, after watching it, like, I noticed how much talent AEW got. I wish I started watching it earlier. They're so talented. He has a lot left in the tank, and I'm excited to see more of CM Punk.
He's a legend for sure.
Facts.
Daniel Bryan, Adam Cole, and Ruby Soho debuted on AEW on the All Out pay-per-view. What were your reaction to the matches, and what does this mean for AEW?
My reaction is, hey, Tony Khan, you're pulling this off, man. You keep pulling this off. Ruby Soho was in the WWE. That's a talent that WWE released. Ruby Soho, to a lot of people, they feel like she could get that next step. And for the company to release her, it was, I felt it wasn't the right move. I think they definitely should have kept her, but I think she's gonna blossom in AEW. She made her debut in the Royal Rumble that they have. I think it's called the Casino. Not too sure, but it was like, I think, 30 people. She came, she debuted. She was the last person to enter. Everybody was excited. It's because she has so much potential. She won the Rumble match. She was gonna challenge Britt Baker for the AEW championship. People are finally seeing, like, oh, she's special. I mean, people were saying this from before, but like now she's getting more TV time, and like now we get to see her more often, and it's a good thing because she's so talented.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is the best move for her in her career, and I'm excited for her. Hopefully, she wins that championship. She deserves it. She's a hard worker, and I'm just so excited. And for AEW, this is a big time pickup. I think to continue to elevate the women's division. This really good women's division just keeps on, bringing more and more talent. Adam Cole. I kind of had a feeling Bryan Danielson was going to come to AEW. It was rumored, but Adam Cole I did not see coming at all. After the match between Kenny Omega and Christian Cage, he comes out, and I'm shocked. He's about to attack Kenny Omega and help Christian Cage. He super kicks the, I believe, Jungle Boy, and then he kind of like turns he's heel turn. It's a big time pickup. And I think Adam Cole could be a piece for the future. He's very young. He's, like you could say, in the prime of his career. He's a huge pickup for them. And then Bryan Danielson, I mean, a guy in WWE, he's won multiple championships. He's main evented WrestleMania twice. I mean, he's a big time star. He came out the same night. They debuted 3 talents. It was so exciting to watch, and AEW is looking real good.
So out of all the matches you've seen, what would you rate them, and what was your favorite moments and least favorite moments of each match?
The first match, Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, Wheeler, and Jurassic Express. They defeated TH2, Private Party, and Matt Hardy in a tag team match via submission. This was kind of like the pre-show, right? It's kind of just starting off the show. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think it was a good way to start the match. It was a good way to start the show. It was really fun to watch. I'll give that an 8 out of 10. The next match, Miro versus Eddie Kingston, and Miro won to retain his AEW TNT Championship via pinfall. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I really thought it was a really fun match. It was nice to see Eddie Kingston. He's a really talented superstar. It was nice to see, but continuing to let Miro dominate and prove to the world he's a top star. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Then Jon Moxley defeated Sajuchi. I apologize. I might be saying his name wrong. I don't know too much about wrestling outside of WWE, unfortunately, but I'm not trying to do more research, right? But that wrestler, Sajuchi, sorry, I apologize. I might have said his name wrong. He is considered one of the best Japanese wrestlers ever. So for him to come and Jon Moxley, it was a clash. It was really fun to watch. I gave it a 9 out of 10. A lot of back and forth, and it was a fun match. Then Britt Baker defeats Chris to retain her AEW Women's Championship via submission. This was a really great match. I really enjoyed it. Dr. Britt Baker hits the curve stomp outside the ring. and then eventually wins via submission. 9 out of 10. Great match. Super fun to watch. I just love seeing the women's continue to prove to the world how great they are. The next match, Lucha Bros defeated the Young Bucks in a steel cage via pinfall to win the AEW World Tag Team Champions. This is 10 out of 10. I've watched a lot of tag team matches in the WWE, but I gotta say this has to be one of the best. You know, there's so many, so I can't say like this is like the greatest, but this was like if I put my top 5, I gotta put this in there. This was so good. These are two young tag teams. They got to shine, and I think they stole the show. This was the best match in the show. So 10 out of 10. If I could give it a 20 out of 10, I would. It was the best match. Ruby Soho won the 21-woman casino battle royal, 8.5 out of 10. That's my grade. And I think getting to see Ruby Soho, her debut, and then her winning, now to challenge Dr. Britt Baker for the AE Women's Championship is great. You know, it's a continue to build your new stars, and I'm just excited for her. So it was a fun match, and I'm just happy Ruby Soho won, and she finally gets to get that her chance at that championship. Chris Jericho versus MJF. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. The match had big stakes. It was saying if Chris Jericho lose, his career was over in AEW. I remember I think MJF pinned him and then they ended the match. So it seems like, oh, Chris Jericho's gone. And, you know, I'm disappointed. I believe the fans were disappointed as well. But then the refs came to be like, you know, his foot was on the rope. They restarted the match and he ended up winning. It was a really fun match. Great storyline between him. MJF continues to prove to us, or to me, you know, I'm starting to watch AEW, man. MJF, he's a really talented wrestler. He's a great heel, man. His promo skills are off the roof. He is a phenomenal superstar. He definitely hopefully one day he'll get to win a title. He needs a title reign. He is special. But 8.5 out of 10, great match. CM Punk defeats Darby Allin in a singles match via pinfall. 9 out of 10. I think just to watch CM Punk wrestle again is a treat in itself. It was a fun match. We got to see Darby Allin continue to prove to the world he's such a good young talent. And then CM Punk in his hometown of Chicago proved to the world that he could still wrestle at a very, very high level. 9 out of 10. Paul Wright defeats QT Marshall in a singles match via pinfall. I gave this a 7 out of 10. It was not too like a really long match. It was a quick match, but we got to, I believe this was Paul Wright's debut. He's been on AEW for some time, but like it was a fun match. We got to see Paul Wright destroy the superstar pretty badly. It was a good match. It was a short match, so I gave it a 7 out of 10. Kenny Omega defeats Christian Cage via pinfall to retain his AEW World Championship. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I think the match was really good. Christian Cage proves, he can still wrestle. Kenny Omega, proves to the world, he's arguably one of the best wrestlers in the world. But then after that match, when Adam Cole, then Bryan Danielson came out, that was fun to watch. And then the best moment, I feel like, of the AEW pay-per-view, the Lucha Bros versus the Young Bucks. I think they stole the show. So the best match there. I know maybe some people think it'd be CM Punk versus Darby. I know, knock on CM Punk versus Darby. It was a phenomenal match. I just think this match was the best. And I think a lot of people would agree with me. And also, the other one, the best moment, CM Punk versus Darby Allin. Just watching CM Punk wrestle against and he showed to the world he got a lot left in the tank. And we're really excited to see him continue to grow and in AEW and just be a top talent like he is. I don't know if I really had a worse moment. If I had to say one, it might be Paul Wright versus QT Marshall. It was a short match, but I still enjoyed the match, right? I really don't think there's that like a worse moment that I could really pick. Honestly, I gave AEW like the show. If I gave like that whole pay-per-view, AEW All Out pay-per-view a rating, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. It's a really good show. It was the most bought pay-per-view for them. So it was a really good show. And they just continue to blossom and be a legit company.
Bryan Danielson had a post-show media scrum with President Tony Khan. And at the end of the interview, he says, AEW is a legitimate competition. Do you agree? Do you think AEW is actually competitive? And do you think the WWE should be scared now?
I'm agree with Bryan Danielson. Yes, they are legit competition. Do I believe they're up to WWE? WWE had a 30-year head start. I think I even heard CM Punk say something like that. A company has a 30-year head start. They're kind of already ahead, right? He said something along the lines like that. Yeah. AEW just started literally 2 years ago. They got all this great talent. And I like the way they built it. They built their young talent. They allowing them to thrive. And also bringing in the WWE. The WWE helped them. You released them. That's a lot of talent that you released. So should WWE be scared? I don't think they're going to admit it, but they've kind of made moves already that it seemed like, okay, maybe they're a little scared.
They're like nervous.
When this happened, CM Punk debuted in AEW Rampage. The pay-per-view in SummerSlam they had on Saturday, the next day. I didn't hear that Brock Lesnar was going to come back before. But then I saw Brock Lesnar come back on Saturday. And then I saw a rumor saying that he came back early because of AEW, because of the CM Punk.
Oh, so you think he came back to
combat that move? Yeah. And then they had this match. I think they were gonna do Randy Orton versus Bobby Lashley at Extreme Rules. The rumor that I read is that Randy Orton versus Bobby was changed to Monday Night Raw due to AEW. So it seems like they're making moves based on that.
Oh,
Brock Lesnar wasn't, I don't think he was expected to come back this early. Came back early due to that. And I think SmackDown is above everybody. But I feel like AEW, Dynamite, and Rampage, I feel personally, I think it's better than Raw because right now they're about to have a draft. So that hopefully that would change it. But I feel like AEW Dynamite is like close to Raw. We saw in the ratings, I believe AEW Dynamite, I don't think they beat Raw, but they came really close. So they beat them in a demographic. So they're legit competition. I still think SmackDown is levels above everybody else because they stacked a lot of talent there. But
yeah.
I agree with Bryan Danielson. They're legit competition. And I think the WWE, the moves that they're making, it seems like they're scared a little bit. A little like okay, they're legit. But I still think WWE's fine. You know, they're making a lot of profit, but AEW is legit. I'm kind of happy that AEW is like another company that's legit because now a lot of stars want to go there. And also now there's not just one company
Yeah.
that stars go to. There's two now. There's more job opportunities now. We got two companies that are legit. And it's good. It's like good to see competition. You know, most for a long time it was just WWE and like there was other wrestling companies, but I don't think there was this much competition. Now AEW's there. And these other wrestling companies are great. No knock on them, but AEW is like
Yeah.
is getting there. In a few years, let's say 5, 6 more years, AEW is going to even be more popular. They're just on the rise. They're just starting.
Yeah. So Mike Foley posted a video on his Facebook page saying that WWE is no longer the preferred place that talent wants to go to. The reason is because AEW is doing a great job getting young talent, signing proven talent, and building up talent, also creating storylines. He also adds that the WWE have misused Karrion Kross, and he also goes on further to say that the WWE has done a great job in the past, but he doesn't trust their creative team anymore. What is your reaction to this, and do you agree with Mick Foley?
My reaction to this is Mick Foley. I think he got some heat for saying this, but I think he's right. And it's because when I'm watching AEW, it seems like right now, I feel like they're doing a better job developing younger talent. Also with the Karrion Kross story, like yeah, I feel like his character kind of got ruined by the WWE. A lot of times, the younger talent doesn't get a chance to shine as much in AEW because it's not really something new all the time. AEW, you see a lot of new talent every week. Somebody new, even if they have CM Punk, they're not just like using him all the time. I don't believe he even main evented one match yet. He only had one match and he had it in the pay per view, and it wasn't the main event. So I feel like, yeah, I agree with Foley. I mean, I think if you're a young star, you probably want to go to AEW. They're doing a better job building young talent. Let's look at Darby Allin. Let's look at the Lucha Bros, the Young Bucks, Jungle Boy. So much young talent. It's fun to watch. Like I think they're doing a better job. No knock on WWE, but they got to pick up their game. You know, they got the head of the table, Roman Reigns. They got Sasha Banks, Bianca Blair, Becky Lynch, the Almighty Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre. They got a lot of talent, but AEW, I got to give them credit. I think they're doing a better job than WWE, and I think WWE just got to get better at this because, like, you watch Raw, and it seems like, are they even trying to make the show? They have good talent, but it's the storylines, the people in the back. I feel like
Yeah.
it's not created well. AEW is doing a great job. And I see a lot of young talent. I'm like, these people are special in AEW. WWE, it's usually the same talent. The show in MSG that they had Liv Morgans, of Lena Vega, Carmella, and I believe Tony Storms were supposed to compete, but I think due to time constraints, they cut their match off. They are young talent. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's like WWE has young talent. They got Liv Morgan. Cesaro had a push at a time, but it seems like now he's getting a little push, but they got a lot of talent. WWE got to pick up their game, and AEW continue the great work. And I'm invested. You got yourself a real fan now. I mean, yes, I understand. I joined. My friend Danny says I'm a fake fan, but at the end of the day, you know, sometimes stars kind of make you want it to watch. And after watching AEW, just see how good it is. I'm so excited that able to watch. I wish I started watching earlier. It's a great show. So let's move on to topic number 4. The U.S. men's soccer team beat Honduras 4-1 with 2 assists and a goal coming from Ricardo Pepe. This puts the USA third in the World Cup qualifying group. In their last 2 games, the U.S. drew with Canada and El Salvador. What are your reactions to this? Do you think the U.S. will qualify for the World Cup? And if you do, how far do you think they will go?
I mean, first, let me just congratulate Pep. He put on a star performance. I can see him easily going to Europe soon. He's a top talent and arguably the best striker in the USA national team camp at the moment. But talking about the qualification, like, I'm honestly disappointed. Like, they're supposed to be, along with Mexico, like, they're supposed to be the top team in the group. And they're struggling against teams like Canada, El Salvador. Yes, they beat Honduras, but I'm sorry, I don't think, like, that's competition to me. Like, that should be an easy win. And I do think they qualify because they are one of the better teams in CONCACAF, and I feel like they're one of the best in that group. But if they were to qualify the World Cup, I can't see them making it out the group stage. And if they get to round of 16, I'll be surprised because this team isn't good. They look young. They're very inexperienced. There's not much mentors on the side, and the people that are experienced are just they're on the same age, but they just play overseas in bigger leagues. So I just don't see this team, this group doing well. I'm seeing a lot of weaknesses, and they're struggling against sides that I feel like should be easy wins. But maybe it's the coaching, maybe something like that. I'm not sure. But I feel like this team also has a long way to go. Like they're not ready at all.
You make some good points for sure. I'm looking at US and whether they'll qualify for the World Cup. I mean, they beat Mexico in the Gold Cup. I've personally felt like, yeah, USA, this is good for them. They're just continue to get better. But if I don't see USA in the World Cup, I don't think a lot of people will be shocked. And I think their ceiling is just the group stage. It would be even tough for them to get to the round of 16.
Yeah,
But I hope they make it, being from the US. I want to see them. But personally, if you're going to ask me right now, do you think they're going to make it? I'm going to say no. I think there's 30 teams better than them. How about you? Do you agree?
I feel like they're good enough to qualify, but I can't see them making out the group stage.
There's no knock on them. USA
Yeah,
you
yeah,
got to be honest, and honesty sometimes is harsh, but it's the truth.
yeah.
So moving on to the last topic, we're going to talk about the Ben Simmons saga. I've been wanting to talk about this for a long time. Ben Simmons is refusing to show up to training camp and is set to face a fine of up to $227,000 per day of not showing up to work. In total, Simmons could be fined about $1.3 million for not showing up. This was reported by Bryan Windhorst. What are your reactions to this?
Honestly, I feel like it's just a unprofessional move by Ben Simmons. Yes, we know you want the move. Yes, you may not like the organization, but still have some class, have some respect. You're getting paid to play. You may not want to be there, but
Overpaid, by
just
the
show
way,
up.
for now.
True, but just show up. Like do your job. You're getting paid, and you sitting there taking the one up to $1.3 million fine. Like that's not like I don't know what he's trying to prove. To me, that's just lowering his trade value because that just shows that one, he's not cooperative. Not saying that he has to be, but it would make more sense. And two, on top of bad performances, what is he really offering besides a bad attitude? And he's not playing well. So I was just really confused by this. It makes no sense to me. And yeah. So what's your take on it?
So I'm gonna just first apologize because I'm a little heated right now. I'm gonna have a really
Yeah.
I've been furious, honestly, when I'm just hearing this whole Ben Simmons. I'm gonna say this straight up. He's acting like an obnoxious diva.
Yeah, he is.
Again, it's a harsh take, but straight up, like Ben Simmons, what have you done for Philly?
Facts.
You came in, you were young, you have your potential. Potential, I'm not gonna deny that, but off the roof potential.
Yeah.
Come into Philly this year, you said, oh, we got a shot at winning the championship. We believe we're gonna win. Get to the second round, losing 7. I mean, I'm not gonna blame just one player, but Joel Embiid was great. He was actually even injured. Tobias Harris, I think, did great. Seth Curry was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was.
Doc Rivers, unfortunately, it looks bad on him. But Ben Simmons, scared to shoot free throws, scared to shoot. A game 7, you have a drive, you want to pass it to Tybo? Like, it's unprofessional. At the end of the day, you want out? Nobody has to trade him. Nobody. If they want, they can keep him, and that's what I'm gonna do. Trade me to Cali, trade me here. So first, he's given an attitude, and now he's like, oh, also do me a favor. I have a preferred destination. I want to go here. No, we don't have. They don't have to trade you anywhere. I think Philly don't want him either. I think it's mutual. But show up, play, and
Yeah,
eventually, I think you'll get your wish. Philly wants the best trade value. Both sides want for them what's best.
I agree.
Tom Moore, NBA source, said the Sixers are expecting Ben Simmons to play in the 2021-22 season. The expectation is that they will. It is bumpy right now, and the team expects it to get better. The 76ers don't plan on making a deal that would drop them back in the standings and not get viable offers. Tom Moore continues to say eventually he's going to show up. Sixers will go from there. They apparently plan to find Simmons if he doesn't attend the 2021-22 camp, preseason, and so on. Don't want to trade for draft picks and try to convert to players. And also, I believe I was reading, I think they would probably find him $308,000 per day. I believe so. So what is your reactions to this?
I feel like the Sixers, like, they're just trying to be hopeful and maybe, like, put a positive spin on this. I don't think he's coming at all. Like, they can say that, oh, they hope he's coming. They hope he's going to arrive. I don't think he's coming. He already shows that he doesn't care about the organization. And I feel like he feels like he owes nothing to the city. And he's gone. I don't think he's coming to training camp. I don't even think he'll even show up to games. I feel like he'll take those fines too until he gets his move. That's the type of player that he is. He doesn't care. Well, that's my perception of it. And I feel
Facts.
like
Agree.
he's ready to go, and he'll do anything it takes to get gone.
My reaction to this is, Sixers, you're doing a great job. You don't have to trade him. You do what's best for you. He
Yeah.
wants what's best for him. You do what's best for you. Ben Simmons, come on, man, show up. Come on, like, be a professional. Stop being unprofessional. It
Yeah.
seems like he's just like being unprofessional. I don't like using this word, but I feel like he's an obnoxious diva. The way he's acting, just like doesn't really care about the franchise. Just wants out. I understand his perception. They said bad things about him, right?
Yeah.
Like they did. And I don't think maybe they should say it, but I mean, everybody was upset. They just lost. They're the first seed. They lost
Yeah.
to the Hawks. The Hawks, by the way, phenomenal team. No knock
Yeah.
on them. But the Sixers should have won, right?
Yeah.
They lost. So, I mean, what they're going to say, you know what? Ben Simmons is the best. Let's run it back. I mean, you had a bad playoffs. You're going to get some heat for it. And I even heard him say in interviews, like, this is Philly. Like, this is what I expect, right? And then it just changes out of
Yeah.
nowhere. He wants out. He doesn't want to show up to training camp. It just like, yeah, okay, you're not happy, fine. I believe he's eventually going to get traded, but show up, get to work, continue to play, elevate your trade value. If you elevate it, people are going to want to give more, and maybe you can get to the destination you want to. By you sitting out,
Yeah.
Warriors are not going to trade for you. Also, the Sixers are asking for like a king ransom.
They want too much.
To me, if I was the Sixers, I'm not trading him till I'm, I see like a Dame or Bradley Beal. I'm waiting till the trade deadline. And I
Yeah.
think Daryl Morey is always that kind of guy. He's okay with things getting uncomfortable. I think the Sixers are doing a good job, and I agree. Maybe Ben Simmons won't show up, but Sixers just do what's best for your franchise. I know it might be uncomfortable, but just do what's best for your franchise. And Ben Simmons, man, I just hope he shows up. It's unexceptional to be watching as a fan. So on Shaq's podcast, Shaq and Barkley go off on Ben Simmons. Shaq says, "You're not great. To be great, you have to work on your game. Don't be putting pictures on your Instagram of your Ferrari or what actress you're hanging around with. When you play for a town like Philadelphia, Boston, LA, Miami, a hardworking town, they don't give a beep about none of that. They want you to come, work hard, and play hard." Then Barkley said, "When you give somebody $200 million to dribble a stupid basketball and the only thing you ask him is to be better as a player, and their first response is, 'I don't want to play here anymore,' that disappoints me as a player. It disappoints me as a fan." He said. So what are your reactions to what both Shaq and Barkley said? And like, do you agree?
I agree. I 100% agree. And I feel like he needs to hear it from those two. Because they were
Legends.
two top big men. Yeah, two
Hall of
top big men at their
Famers.
time. And if he's not taking advice from them, who will he listen to? Because it's clearly not the GM. It's not the
He
coach.
didn't listen to the fans.
Yeah, he doesn't care. And I feel like he hasn't improved at all. Like Barkley said, you're getting paid $200 million, and all they want you to do is improve. They believed in you.
He's basically getting paid $200 million
Yeah.
to be a bum, to be the most overrated, overhyped. Can I call him a garbage can? Because that's what he's been playing like. And I'm sorry, it's harsh. Ben
Yeah.
Simmons has potential. I just
He
think,
does.
come on, you got to come to work. You think about even like regular people. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll be like, oh, I don't want to show up to work today. I'm going to get fired if I don't show up to work.
Facts. Yeah.
He is NBA player. He has this type of, they're rich, right? Super, super rich.
Yeah.
Where like, even if they don't show up, he's still getting paid a lot of money. But come on, man. This is, show up. You're going to get traded eventually, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
If you get better, like I said, he has so much potential. I don't like calling people like garbage or bums,
Yeah.
but I mean, he is right now, and he has potential. What he still brings to the table, defense, all of that is great.
Yeah.
But what Shaq said, totally right. I mean, these type of towns, these are big markets.
Yeah.
They want to win. They've been patient Philly has been trusting the process for way too long. They want results now. And what Barkley said, I also agree, because you're really getting paid $200 million, and all they want you is to get better, right?
Yeah, improve.
Yeah, it might be harsh, but they want you to get better. Like, it's not like they're saying these things to degrade you. They just feel like, oh, you have that potential. Just got to unleash it.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, I feel like teams are paying players for the potential.
Yeah, and Simmons got paid big money, and I feel like he deserves it when he shows it.
Yeah, similar with Wiggins. I feel like he got paid big in
Minnesota,
and
true.
He didn't fulfill his contract. And I feel like he's trying to redeem himself now.
Yeah, he's doing good in Golden State.
I feel like Ben Simmons got paid on potential and what he could be. And will it ever be that? I don't know. I don't think so, honestly.
I agree. I don't know. I think he definitely can, but I mean, I've seen these videos of him shooting. I don't know if this is like, is it real or not? A lot of people are saying like, oh, I don't trust this and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So one of the message that Ben has sent back to Philly is that it is not his job to correct his trade value or raise his trade value. ESPN Bryan Windhorst said Wednesday on The Jump. What is your reaction to this? And our thoughts on his trade value and Philadelphia's high asking price?
I feel like he's 100% wrong. It is his job. He's ruined his trade value, so how can they inflate it to something that's not? Teams saw you play in the playoffs. Teams saw you choke. Teams saw you not attempt shots in the fourth quarter. Your trade value is in the dumps. Sorry, it is. It's up to you to fix it. Be
Harsh, but
professional.
honesty.
Yeah, show up in training camp. Show you're improving. It's up to you. There's nothing that Philadelphia can do. You played. You're playing on the court. Your play dictates your value.
Yeah.
If you play poorly, your value is low. They can't help you. They can say whatever they want. Teams and scouts know the real Ben Simmons. They know that you're not trying. You're not improving. So I'm just confused on that. And to the next question about Philadelphia's high asking price, I mean, like, what else can they do, man? Because I feel like if he leaves and he becomes like a generational talent somewhere else, they'll regret it for that forever, you know. But I feel like his value isn't high enough to do that. Like I just don't. And yes, he has potential, but I just don't think that what they're asking for is realistic in the current NBA. I don't. Because even if you see what the Rockets got back for James Harden, do you think Simmons is of a James Harden caliber? I certainly don't think so. So if people are saying that the Rockets did a bad deal for Harden, what do you think the Sixers are going to get for Simmons? It's going to be worse. So I just don't see what he's trying to say here, and to me, it's just all wrong.
I agree. When I look at this, it's not his, kind of responsibility for his trade value to increase, and that's technically true. But also, it's not Philly's job to trade you either. They don't got to trade you. You're in a contract for I think 4 more years, right? They're not responsible to trade you. They don't have to do what you say. But at the end of the day, Philly would do what's best for them, and they should. And their high asking price, I mean, you have a point. I mean, Philly, they got to lower down the offer a little bit. I think I
Yeah,
saw a trade that they try to get the 7th pick, the 14th pick from Golden State with Wiggins, Wiseman. I mean, that's too much. Sacramento, I think Sacramento wanted to get him, but Philly wants like either De'Aaron Fox or Tyrese Halliburton. I wouldn't give up those pieces if I'm Sacramento.
yeah,
Philly should try to get what's best, but unfortunately, his trade value is low right now. And if I'm Philly, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting to see if Dame acts out or Bradley Beal acts out because to me, that's the best option they got.
yeah.
So where do you think Ben Simmons will end up?
I honestly don't know because Philly's asking price is too high, and Ben Simmons' value is so low. Not so low, but it's not as high as it could be. I mean, some spots I would like to see him in, probably like Portland. I feel like he'll work well with Dame. I've been hearing rumors that CJ might be on the move. The Warriors would be nice. I mean, he will have to do less. He'll just be like a defensive piece, I guess. And then that's it. To be honest, I can't see anywhere else where he'll like work.
I think Philly is playing the waiting game. In my opinion, I still really believe Dame will axe out eventually.
Yeah,
And I know he's loyal, he might not, but my assumption is that Ben Simmons will end up in Portland. I just think eventually Dame will axe out. We both agree that we don't believe that franchise is a contender right now.
yeah,
They're gonna play the waiting game, and then Daryl Morey will make the move. He'll offer Simmons, he'll offer some more pieces, young pieces like maybe Tyrese Maxey, and make the trade to get Dame. And now you pair Dame with Embiid, and now you have Tobias Harris as a real talented team in the East. Which team would you think is the best fit for Ben Simmons? Like ideally, like we're not even saying like where he's gonna get traded.
I think it would be the San Antonio Spurs. I mean, I don't necessarily want to trade for him because I feel like we have to give it too much. But I feel like we have some of the best shooting coaches in the league. We gave Kawhi Leonard a jumper. Well, we developed his jump shot. We're working on DeJounte Murray's jump shot right now, and it seems to be progressing well. And I feel like under Popovich, he'll like have to like get it, like make something work. Popovich is a strict coach. We have great development staff, so I feel like we'll get the best out of him. But I don't want it to happen because I feel like we have to give up DeJounte, Keldon, probably like some other young talent that I don't want to do. But I feel like he needs like an organization like that that'll like work with him 100%. I'm not saying Philly hasn't done that, but I feel like the Spurs have been like tested and proven and developing players, and bringing out the best.
In my opinion, I know you said you don't want the Spurs to trade from him. I think the Spurs should, in my opinion. I'm gonna tell you why. If he goes to the Spurs, I think the Spurs, since Kawhi, they've had a lot of young talent, right? On the rise,
Yeah,
right? They look like potential stars. But I feel like Ben Simmons has the potential of being a superstar, right? The Spurs get that. They finally seems like they have that kind of potential superstar that I think they've been
yeah,
lacking for some time. And no knock, Spurs have a lot of talent, but I just believe, looking at their roster, if they pull the trigger for Ben Simmons under the Pop system, I think Ben Simmons will blossom under Pop. Pop is really tough on players. So I think that's the ideal situation for him. I know also just go back, you were saying the Warriors also before. You were talking about the Warriors. I feel like
yeah,
the Warriors would be an ideal fit for him to be a contender, but then like I don't know for Warriors, like is that really ideal? I mean, you're pairing
yeah.
Draymond and Ben.
That's
Now
true.
Curry and Thompson, they're snipers. James Wise. I mean, you're gonna have a lineup where potentially three non-shooters because
Yeah,
Draymond can shoot, but He's left open a lot, but he can shoot. Ben Simmons, I mean, from what I saw in the last playoffs, he doesn't even try. And then James Wiseman is, he's a center. But I've seen him shoot a few threes. So look, I don't feel like I think that's a bad fit for Warriors. If they want to get Ben Simmons, I think they got to give up Draymond, right? Because like it wouldn't. I feel like it wouldn't work. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I believe the Spurs is the best fit, and I think the Spurs should pull the trigger for it. And I think they should give up DeJounte Murray. I think they should give up Kendall Johnson, Derek White. I know that's a lot, maybe some
Yeah.
picks. I know that's a lot, but I really believe under the Pop system he can blossom. Whose fault is it for the entire Ben Simmons saga? Is it the fans' fault, the team fault, or is it Ben Simmons' fault?
I think it's 100% his fault. Well, 90% his fault.
Hmm.
Because he hasn't improved at all. Like you said in the previous episode, he hasn't really taken that leap since his rookie season. He hasn't gotten like that much better, in my opinion.
Same player.
And I feel like the team has done what they can. They put pieces around him. Like the team is a solid. It's a good team.
They did a good job building around him.
You know, like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, as they say. He's the one that works out every season. I mean, every off season. He's the one that posts these shooting videos every off season, and nothing improves. So I mean, I have to put it on him, and maybe a little bit on the team. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I feel like they've done a good job in building the roster. So that's just my take on it.
I think you're being a little too kind. You're saying 90%. It's Simmons' fault. Can we say 150? Can we go above 100? It's 100% his fault. I mean, fans want to see their team win and be good. Philly's the same thing. They want to see their team win. Boston is that type of market. The Lakers, Miami, these type of markets. That's just how it is in these big markets. But all Philly wants you to do is become better as a player. I understand they said some things that maybe they shouldn't have said, but all they're trying to do is they want you to get better. You have the potential. Ben Simmons has the potential. I think this is clearly his fault. I mean, he's arrogant. He has an attitude. He doesn't care. He's selfish.
Yeah.
He's an obnoxious diva. He's a bum. He's a burger. He's trash. He's overrated. He's overhyped. I can go on a large rant about Ben Simmons. Like I said, I never going to disrespect Ben Simmons as a human being. He's an exceptional talent, but I'm straight up upset with the way he's handling this. You can handle this a lot better.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm going off on him. You're just doing the franchise dirty. They've done everything good by you. They want you to be better. They want you to improve. Doc Rivers said a lot of good things about him. Even, when people were criticizing him, they supported him, but you let them down. And then that's just the bottom line. Do you think Ben Simmons has done Philly dirty by forcing his way out of Philly?
Yes, I think he's going about it the wrong way. I feel like he's turned the fans against him if they weren't already turned against him. And I feel like he's just making himself look horrible. Like, this isn't the way to force your way out of a team. This is not it. I'm sorry, it's not. I feel like the fans they haven't been hard until recently. I feel like the fans have been supporting him. I know, personally, some Sixers fans saying that he's an MVP candidate. Like, are you serious? Like, maybe he has that potential, but right now, no.
But yeah, that's
he's
true.
not. I'm sorry. And I feel like the fans are against him. And, like, that's it. He ruined it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this is the worst possible way you could have done it, not turning up to training camp, not being classy, not showing any sense of professionalism. And you just trying to, like you said, be a diva and force your way out. I feel like he's going about it all wrong.
I'm gonna agree with you. He's done it. He's done the franchise really dirty. To me, this is his new name. It's called Ben Bum Arrogant Simmons.
Oh my God.
I'm very harsh. All love for Ben Simmons, but come on, man. Like the fans kind of they were a little too harsh, and maybe he got, and I understand that, but that's just how fans are, bro. Like some fans are gonna be like, some are not, right? But I mean, bro, they've been trusting the process for so long. They want to see results. They don't want to see you get bounced in the second round. They don't want to see a game 5 you up like 26 they were up. They blew the lead. Game 4 they had a big lead. They lost. Game 6 they won. Game 7 in your hometown. Chance to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals. You couldn't get the job done. I'm not gonna blame it completely on him, but I'm gonna say about 70% I think to blame, because he wasn't aggressive, he was scared to shoot. He was scared to go to the free throw line. Embiid was injured, and he was playing phenomenal. Tobias Harris, I think, was great. Seth Curry was phenomenal. The talent, Danny Green, look at the talent they got, and they got out bounced in the second round. And Ben Simmons is unprofessional. He's arrogant, has a big attitude. He's overrated, like I previously stated in the last episode. Overhyped. He's a bum. He's a garbage can. You could say, and I could go big rants about him. He has a lot of talent. Never will disrespect him as a player, but right now, the way he's acting, the way he's handling things is unexceptional. Last question. Do you think this relationship can be repaired?
No, I think it's dead. Like I said,
it's over.
He turns the fans against him. I think he might have turned some of his teammates against him by not showing up to training camp. And even what Doc Rivers said, to me, that hinted everything. I think it was asked, do you think this team can win a championship with Ben Simmons when he starts playing? He said, I don't know. The coach is saying, I don't know.
He should question it because I don't think you
Yeah.
can.
I agree. The coach doesn't know because it all depends on Ben Simmons. You know Embiid is going to ball out. You know supporting cast is going to be there. It all depends on Ben Simmons. Can he be a quality co-star? And to me, the answer right now is no. He turned everyone against him. Philly fans hate him. Some of his teammates probably don't like him. And I feel like this relationship is done. He's done. Like, I'm sorry, that's it. He ruined it. It's over.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. Like this relationship is over. I think it seems like Philly wants to repair, but it seems like he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
It's upsetting the way it's been handled. He could have handled this a lot better, and he didn't. And hopefully, I just hope things get better for Philly. I do feel bad for the Philly franchise. You know, I know he's an unhappy superstar. You want out. You know, a lot of players act out. It's fine. It's just the way you handle it. I think I remember even seeing James Harden, the way he handled getting out of Houston. He did it really. I don't think he did it in a professional manner.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard also. Like, there's a lot of players who did it. Some players have handled it really well. James Harden showed up to training camp. I understand there was a notion that he was not in like basketball shape, right?
Yeah.
But Ben Simmons is like not showing up, saying that it's not my job to increase my trade value. So why should they trade you? Why they have to trade you to where you want to go to
Yeah.
Lakers, Clippers, Golden State? If I'm the Lakers, Clippers, Golden State, I'm not trading for you. I think the Lakers, Clippers, and Golden State teams are already good. They have a good contending teams. So this relationship is over, unfortunately. Hopefully, I hope it gets better. Hopefully, he shows up to training camps and just does his job. You're getting paid that big bucks, man. Come on, show up.
Yeah.
And also, one last thing before I want to say, my friend Bryan, a huge Ben Simmons fan. I hope you watch this episode. And I'm sorry for flaming your bro, but I mean, he's a bum, straight up. And this, concludes episode 4 of the Straight Sports Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Straight Sports Podcast. Appreciate the support,
Yeah.
and also just a small preview for episode 5. We will be talking about part 2, free agency, giving our grades from A to F. And thank you, and hope you enjoy our episodes. And Clippers Nation.
Thank you.